My parents secretly locked my psychotic uncle in our basement freezer for a year. My brother and I discovered the truth after hearing noises and opening the forbidden basement door. After his escape, the truth unraveled, destroying our family. They say every family has secrets. I just never thought mine would be this dark. I'm 22 now, and I've debated writing this for a long time. But maybe someone out there needs to hear this. Maybe it'll help me breathe easier too. This story begins when I was 13. My mom, my dad, my twin brother Kyle and I all lived in a 2-story house in rural Michigan. It was quiet, boring even, until the day my mom locked the basement door and told us, "Don't ever try to open it again." It had never been locked before. My dad had built that basement himself. It was a finished space with an old couch, a mini fridge and a dartboard. We used to go down there and watch movies. Kyle and I would have Nerf gun wars. Then, suddenly, it became off limits. My dad stopped going down there too. Anytime we asked, they'd give vague answers like, "The floor's unstable" or "There's mold." We bought it for a while. But something changed. The summer we turned 15, Kyle became obsessed with unlocking that door. He said he kept hearing noises, thuds, dragging sounds, and once, even a muffled voice. I told him he was paranoid, maybe even dreaming it. But one night, I heard it too. A loud, heavy thump, like someone collapsing. I wanted to run away from that sound. Kyle wanted to run toward it. That night, he picked the lock with a bobby pin and flashlight. I begged him to wait, but he said, "If Mom and Dad won't tell us the truth, we find it ourselves." We opened the door, and it changed our lives forever. When the door opened, the air hit me first. It wasn't just musty, it was wrong, heavy, stale, like something had died. Kyle held the flashlight and led the way. We walked down the creaky steps, each one threatening to scream under our weight. Everything looked untouched. The old couch was still there, the dartboard, even our Nerf bullets were scattered around. But it felt different, like a stage had been left undisturbed for too long, yet someone had recently been there. Then we saw the padlocked freezer, a large industrial-looking one, shoved into the back wall. It hadn't been there before. It looked new. Kyle walked straight toward it. I begged him to stop. I was already shaking. He yanked it, still locked. And then we heard a knock from the inside. We both screamed. We ran back upstairs and slammed the door. We pushed a chair under the knob and didn't speak a word about it that night. But we couldn't sleep. We didn't know what to do. We were too afraid to tell our parents and too scared to go back down. For 3 days, we avoided it. On the 4th day, the basement door was locked again and the chair had been moved. Something or someone had come out. Kyle cracked one night. He confronted my mom at dinner and said, "What's in the freezer downstairs? Why is it knocking?" My dad dropped his fork. My mom stood up and said, "We said that door stays closed." Her voice was shaking. Kyle kept pushing. "There's something alive in there," my dad yelled for the first time in years. "You stay out of that basement. You have no idea what you're messing with." And then it slipped. My mom looked at my dad and said, "You said it wouldn't wake up again." Again. Again. Kyle and I stared at each other. My dad buried his face in his hands. That night, Kyle and I packed bags. We planned to sneak out and go to our aunt's house across town. But before we could leave, we heard it. The freezer opened. There were footsteps. Not heavy, not soft, just deliberate, calculated. Like someone who had nothing but time. We hid in the closet with a kitchen knife. For hours, we sat in silence, hearing occasional creaks in the hallway. At 4 a.m., everything stopped. It was as if whatever came out had left. That night, we didn't sleep. At 2 a.m., our bedroom doors opened. My dad stood there, crying. He asked us to come downstairs. We followed him to the basement. He was shaking, holding a shotgun. The freezer lid was wide open and empty. He sat us down and finally explained everything. Apparently, before we were born, they took in my dad's mentally ill younger brother, our uncle Brian. He had severe psychosis and delusions, but was considered non-violent until he wasn't. One night, he attacked my dad with a crowbar, raving about demons. He tried to kidnap my mom. He believed she was possessed. My dad barely overpowered him. They had him committed, but in 2004, the asylum burned down. Records were lost. Brian went missing. Years passed. My parents thought he was dead until he came back. In 2014, they found him living in our woodshed. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't turn him in. My dad insisted on handling it quietly. They locked him in the basement freezer. He was alive, sedated, fed through a slit for almost a year. That knock? That was him waking up again. My dad cried while telling us. My mum just stared blankly. Kyle was speechless. I asked if Brian was dangerous again. My dad didn't answer. Instead, he stood up and said, "If he's gone, he's gone." Gone, as in escaped? The rest of the night, we checked locks. Dad nailed boards across windows. We didn't go to school the next day. For a week, we lived like prisoners, waiting. Then, the first dead animal showed up. It was our neighbor's cat, mangled, left on our front porch. The police came. Animal control. They suspected a wild animal, but Kyle and I knew better. Over the next few weeks, more signs appeared. Carved symbols on our garage door, scratches at the windows, the feeling of being watched. We finally called our aunt, told her everything. She came with a lawyer and a social worker. Within 48 hours, Kyle and I were removed from the home. The police did a full search. Brian was found in the crawl space beneath the shed, malnourished, wild-eyed. He had written pages of scriptures in his own blood. He was taken into psychiatric custody. My parents were arrested for unlawful imprisonment, child endangerment, and obstruction of justice. The court was a circus. The media swarmed. Kyle and I had to testify. My parents were sentence reduced due to mental instability and trauma, but I've never looked at them the same way. We live with our aunt now. She's amazing. She tried to help us heal, but some scars run too deep. Kyle doesn't talk much. He's in another state, studying psychology, maybe trying to understand how all of this happened. As for me, I write, I process. I still hear knocks sometimes when I dream, and I never go near basement.